Then I will call this work session meeting of the San Marcos City Council to order. Today is Tuesday, June 4th of 2024. The time is 3:08. We thank you for your patience as we made it through some technical difficulties. Ms. Trevino, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Prather, Mr. Scott, Ms. Garza, Mayor Houston,
Here.
Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Gleason,
Here.
and Mr. Mendoza.
Here.
We have a quorum present.
All right, first up is our citizen comment time period. And our speakers today are, first, we will have Wayne Miller. If you'll come to the podium, state your name, and make sure you speak into the microphone for recording and for those at home. And you'll see that you're in the green on the slide. When you have 20 seconds left, it goes to the yellow, and then when your time is up, there'll be some text and possibly a bell. If you'll go ahead, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Wayne Miller. I'm the grandfather of Malachi Williams. I have every intent in the world to keep this in front of us until we can come to a resolution that speaks the truth. I would like to read something first, and those that are in the same arena as I am will understand exactly what I'm reading. It says, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give a tenth of your spices, your mint, dill, and cumin, but you have neglected the more important matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have done this and not neglect the farmer, you blind guiles. You strain out a gnat, but you swallow a camel. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisees, first clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside also will be clean." When Jesus spoke those words, he was speaking to a group of people that had no care about other people. They had no empathy. They had no compassion. They did not care about the truth. If it looked good, they thought it was okay. I'm telling you that this community is beginning to look like those people in that time. I have talked to many people since the death of my grandson, and I have heard how things are for the neglected people in this community. I have heard that the job of the policeman, as far as the homeless are concerned, is to gather them up, give them a choice of a job or a bus ride. That doesn't sound like people that are caring. That doesn't sound like a community that values its people. I'm asking you today to take a look into your own hearts and decide, am I a plus to this community? Am I just following and dragging along to get along? Or am I an individual and willing to take the steps that it takes to get the right thing done? The right thing would be putting this officer in jail until everybody is ready to prove that he did not negligently kill my grandson. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ayman Imhotep. Is that person here? Okay. So that will end.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
There you are. Okay, you have 3 minutes. So if you'll state your name, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Muntakale Imotepu. I am speaking in support of young Malachi Williams as well as his family. First of all, my greatest heartfelt condolences to the situation. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll proceed. Firstly, I want to say that as a father and as a grandfather and as an uncle, it hurts me to know that we're dealing with a situation like this, and it hurts me even more to not have a good resolve for this. A good resolve for this situation, because that's exactly what this is a homicide. It's not just to say, I'm sorry for your loss. A good resolution to this is actually doing something about this. There's no way this officer should be on the streets. There's no way a proper investigation shouldn't be done. There's no way that this person should not be treated as just the same as any other person that violated the law. You know, when I look at Lady Justice is blind, and she has scales that are equally balanced. The blind means it's non. It means that it's non-partial. The equal scales of justice means it's equal for all. It shouldn't be um, deviated due to position, occupation, definitely not color of skin. If this is the true United States of America that everybody talks about in regards to the United States Constitution. Um, there's no way that this family should be begging for justice. No way. And if this was any one of you sitting in that council right now and this happened to you, I'm sure the results would be absolutely unequivocally different. What we're asking for is tangible results, not words, not sympathy cards from the city, legitimate action. Because right is right and wrong is wrong, even in the eyes of the law. It's wrong. What has happened to this family is wrong. They had a family member taken from them. A woman lost her son. This man lost his grandson. Many people probably lost a brother and sister and good friends, and who knows? Something has to be done. I thank you for your time.
Okay, and Mr. Vino, that's the last one,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Okay, so now we will move on to item 1, presentation.
Receive a staff presentation providing an after-action report of the May 9th severe weather event and the city's response and recovery.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Today's presentation is a recap of the severe weather event that hit our community the evening of May 9th and the city's response and recovery to the event. This event touched many different departments throughout the city, as well as the biggest impacts that we saw were to our residents, and it was for power outages and tree debris from the high winds. Departments jumped right into action to restore power, clear the roads, check our infrastructure, and begin making plans to help residents recover. This afternoon, we will go over all of our department's responses, highlighting some of our successes and outlining the lessons learned. I would now like to turn it over to Rob Finch, Emergency Management Coordinator, to provide the presentation. Thank you.
Mayor, City Council, Rob Fitch, City Account. I work for the City of San Marcos as your Emergency Management Coordinator. We have several of the departments here that will be briefing you on what happened on May 9th. Okay. May 9th, obviously we had a storm. San Marcos experienced what's called a microburst and also straight line winds. 911 received 74 calls during that period. Christus Santa Rosa Hospital had damage to their third floor and surgical department and emergency rooms, resulting in them having to transfer patients from the third floor to different areas. Notice I put a couple stars next to that because I'd like to talk about that a little later on about we had some communication issues with Santa Rosa on that. The alert towers were not used in this event since the alert towers are not operational. I understand there's a few questions about that. Do you want to ask that, Mayor?
Just when will they be?
That's the $1 million question.
Okay.
Right now, due to the fact that we're working with the contractor, and right now, they're just trying to get them up to speed. They had many years of not being taken care of. And so due to parts that were not ordered on time, the fact that they had a staff overturn at the American Signal, we're working with them. They're going to be here this month to work on our emergency towers at that point.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are we looking at maybe potentially 6 months, a year? What kind of timeline are we looking at get them up and going?
Well, like I like to say all the time, they tell me July, they just never tell me a year. So we believe it should be done by this summer.
Okay, 'cause-
We're at that point, we're down to, we need a new solar panel, and we need everything to be connected up at the dispatch. All the equipment's here, just has to be connected up, and then we have to start the testing process.
Okay,
So,
I mean, I think that's one where I want to compliment everybody on their, kind of cut in before you even get done with your presentation, but I talked to more than a dozen people that had no idea anything was happening. Their phones went off, but they just thought it was an Amber Alert. I think those things need to be get up and going as soon as
Yeah.
possible. Whatever we need to do to get them going, I think it's a risk to not have them going, so.
Yeah, I thought we'd gotten an email 6 months ago that they
Yes.
were up and running, and so I was truly
Well, I think the email said
confused.
we were going to get them up and going, is
Yeah.
what it said.
yeah.
Okay,
And I think it had a timeline of a few months on it or something, but,
Right.
yeah,
How
we-
long have they not been operating correctly?
I hate to
Years.
throw anybody under the bus, but
Wow.
11 years. They haven't been operational, so.
the other part of this too that I want to, and I, speaking about this is, I also want them to talk about them being used for flood events potentially also. I know that's something that's kind of been pushed back in the past, but there are a lot of places in the country that use those towers for multiple sounds. And I think those are going to be set up now to do multiple tones or different tones. And I think they should be done for that also. And so that's something I want my colleagues to be interested in and haven't looked at that too.
Yeah,
Of a
it
tone
will
for
have the
tornado.
capability, whether or not we put that function in, that'll be up to us.
Yeah, a tone for tornadoes and a tone for flooding so that people have some sort of additional warnings.
Correct.
yeah.
Do we have to have four to agree on that, to make sure that?
Well, we would need to address it another time. If y'all need us to make decisions on that, we'll put on an agenda and we'll get there. But I'm willing to wait to see if there's anything else, and we all do it at once.
All right,
Okay.
I agree.
Because with the new technology, I think I did read in the old email that there is going to be able to do multiple tones now. Is that correct?
Correct. It has that capability. We have to select what we want
Yes.
with the vendor. Once we have everything up and running and tested, then we can start selecting what we want in as far
It would
as
be
tones.
nice to have it done if we could before orientation time with the university, but I know it's not your fault.
I like hearing it, it's not my fault, so. Okay, let's see. Going on. Both the utilities and public work teams responded immediately that night for call-outs to help restore power to the meter readers. Communications shared the required information over all our social media networks. As far as recovery went, damage assessment and debris management were activated. I want to thank Amy Tobias for that. She really put a lot of work into this. They jumped right in, started things. Manager's offices go ahead and had a director's meeting the next morning, going over our response and our needs for all the departments. I want to thank Stephanie for that. ISTAT, the individual state assessment tool, and PSTAT, public assistance tool information, we started collecting data for that, and also on volunteer coordination. As far as Public Works rapidly mobilized to clear right-of-ways and the drainage easements, removed debris of downed trees, repaired traffic signals, replaced downed signs, performed temporary facility repairs, identified vehicle and equipment hail damage, which turned out to be pretty excessive. Majority of blocked roads were cleared within 30 minutes. 99% of the roads were cleared by Friday, and street sweeping operations continued for the week after the event. Water and wastewater crews provided essential support during this time. And this next slide, you'll see that we had 102 incident responses, over 179 overtime man hours, 52 personnel were working, 46 streets were cleared, 40 trees were cleared, 31 signal repairs, 59 debris sites were removed, 22 facilities repaired, and 248 vehicles were damaged, and 13 signs were replaced during this event. Go to utilities, electric. 136 power outages, affectionately 1,200 meters. Around 50 reports of lines down and/or trees in the lines. Crews comprised of workers from San Marcos, New Braunfels, Seguin, Pike Electric, and Davie Tree Service worked together around the clock to restore power. Total event time lasted from 8:26 p.m. till 9:52 p.m. on 5/11. So a total of 49 and a half hours. Any questions so far? Okay. Let's go to wastewater. We had outage of wastewater treatment plant. The generator responded adequately, so we're good to hear that. Repairs were made to the air treatment facility. Water treatment plant had minor issues with restart, nothing significant to note. The SCADA system lost power. IT worked on it and corrected that. No overflow or loss of water pressure was reported, and all generators worked and power was restored within before we needed to mobilize the portable units. So. Communications. Let's see, the outage management system, we had over, has this been 8,666 page reviews. Emergency updates, we had over 2,382. San Marcos weather updates, we had 484 page reviews. Our social media outreach, 72.5 thousand total on outreach. SMTX outreach alert, outage alert. National Weather Service alert, brush pickup, filing damage claims and avoiding scams, and debris removal assistance. There was a question about Warren Central Texas, whether or not we could have put out information on Warren Central Texas concerning brush pickup. We're not allowed to put anything on Warren Central Texas that is not exactly an alert going out. Okay.
Okay.
Let's disagree to, agree to disagree on that. So, communications. Let's see, oh, gotta change my manual slide here, excuse me. 8 regional media inquiries, Austin, San Antonio, and San Marcos. Media notice on May 10th came out, and press release on May 14th. You'll notice there's a sample of the brush pickup notice that was sent out to our residents. Parks and Recreation, tree damage assessments and mitigation. Our urban forester, park maintenance, and trail crews immediately began assessing and addressing fallen trees within our public spaces, parks, cemetery, and natural areas. Multiple tree care companies were contacted in the aid of addressing critical damaged trees with the public spaces in the city, Questions so far? No? Doing good? All right. 68 trees in public spaces or parks were required removal. 99 trees required pruning or to be made safe. Where future plantings will be planned to replace those trees that were removed. Previous numbers do not include the trees addressed within natural areas. The San Marcos Greenbelt Alliance has volunteered more than 40 hours of labor to assist us in the cleanup and mitigation efforts. Debris removal. Again, I want to thank Amy for all her work, by the way. You've been fantastic with this. Neighborhood Enhancement has taken the lead on this and has done an outstanding job. They activated on-call debris removal contact on May 14th. CARES, is it? CARES? Environmental at one time. They had 3 to 5 crews working here. Emergency contact debris removal monitoring started on May 20th. Code compliance monitored San Marcos TX Connect for public and private requests. Resource recovery, code compliance, human resources, and public services answered the calls for assistance. Continuing on with the neighbor hand.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Where did all the mulch or chippings, where did all that go?
Texas Disposal Systems.
Okay,
Okay.
to beneficial use? Thank you. I didn't know if we had it or if it went someplace else. That was really my big question. I know it would have been a lot for us to handle,
Go ahead.
volume-wise.
Yes, it went to Texas Disposal Systems to their brush mulching part of their facility. This is also per FEMA regulations that we divert as much material from going into a landfill as possible.
Exactly. Okay, thank you.
That's why we had her here. That's why we have you here. So. Yeah. Okay, the Texas Baptist Men, now known as the Texas on Mission, or TOM, chainsaw crews worked in the county and the city. At any one time, there was 2 to 5 crews working. Mission Able helped move vegetative debris to the curb. They didn't have chainsaws with them. To date, volunteers assisted residential properties, and let's see if this, yep, this has been updated. 66 in the city of San Marcos. Hays County had 33, Guadalupe 25, Caldwell County 23. Okay. First pass through the city was on May 20th through June 8th. We'll be finishing up on June 8th. Second pass punch-out list through June 10th through the 14th is planned. Volunteer assistant, Texas Baptist Men, or the TOM, Texas Mobility Group there, they'll demobilize June 7th. And Mission Able, Texas Men and Mission Able are no longer taking any requests at this time. So. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Sorry, update for Tom. They are actually demobilizing today. A lot of them are from the Dallas area, so they have their own communities and homes to go to. They have put their request over to a crew in Canyon Lake, the Bluebonnet crew, and I think they might be coordinating with Mission Able, but they're demobilizing today.
Okay, thanks for the update.
Okay. Citizen reporting. We've used ISTAT, Individual State of Texas Assessment Tool. As you can see, it's designed to help deploy early and disaster impact areas, rapid damage assessment information. And we've been using a QR code or a link to allow individuals to report their location. Reporting debris cleanup needs contact Resource Recovery via phone or email, and sign up through the Texas on a Mission. All right. PSTAT, the public state assessment tool, is designed to collect the same. Tool is intended for local jurisdictions only and not for public release. All right. We assisted with the Texas State University and San Marcos Consolidated Independent School Districts on their entries into PSTAT. So the new updated number is the threshold still remains the same. You have to have at least 1 million. This is for county, by the way. Hays County had to have $1,337,048. You had to meet that threshold. We're now at $4.5 million on that amount. Let's see. So, at the end of all this, the improvement plan, we had a couple things that have already come up that we wanted to address. One, host regular situational calls throughout the process. We didn't follow a lot of them at this time. Emergency management and risk management are going to work together to streamline the damage reporting process, mostly for PSTAT, how to get the information and notify our workers exactly what we need. Some cases we need photographs and we need geolocation so that we can go ahead and put this information in. We're going to have a centralized reporting site. Establish a standard operating procedure covering PSTAT reporting from the field workers. and work with critical partnerships. And this is where I was talking about with the hospital. The night of the incident, the following 2-3 days later, we still did not know if they had received any damage because they did not contact us. The only way we found out was working with our EMS crews told us of the damage at the hospital. So we're gonna have to look at that, why they didn't notify, and figure out a way to have us best notified whenever they're on divert status or have damages as they occurred. We also would like to, in the future, have 2 to 3 temporary damage, debris management sites identified, pre-identified. So with that, is there any questions? Go ahead, sir.
Well, the question that I have is on Broadway, and I think, y'all gave us some information last time. It took a while for them to get their power back, talking about several hours. And my understanding that the San Marcos Electrical Company never knew that they were out. What's the validity on that? Any information?
Right.
We'll need you to come to the microphone, please, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I heard about a couple of cases. There was one where it happened to be the folks from Seguin, and there were like 3 houses still out.
Right.
And one of the residents saw them leaving and went out and said, hey, we still don't have power. And they went, oh, okay. So, yes. Yes, sir.
So I think a lot of times whenever the crew's out in the field, when they're interacting with the public, they may not be aware of what the office knows is out. The office will dispatch the crews. Either our distribution manager or someone there in the office who's operating through the outage management system. So the crews out in the field, they're not steady looking at the map. So if the indication that caused us to believe that maybe we didn't know those people were out of power, came from the Seguin crew, the Seguin crew wouldn't have known who was or wasn't out of power other than what they were directly working on. And a lot of times customers do get confused whenever the crews are out there in the field working on the outages and say they get their neighbors on, but they don't get them back on. They may be on a different line. So it may be a totally unrelated outage, and they have to kind of trace the outage down, upline from the source.
Right.
So that could be the issue. I'm not aware of any outages that we found out about later on in the process that we weren't previously aware of. At least not major outages. There may have been some individuals who reported outages later on, onesies and twosies where there were trees on their service, but no major outages that we weren't aware of.
Right. Well, thank you. I was just kind of concerned, because they said they made several calls to our emergency line and told them the address of where they lived. After a few hours, I said, we'll give them some time for them to get to you. And then they called me back 3 hours later, 4 hours later. We still got no power, Mr. Gonzalez. They're going to get to you. But eventually, it was taken care of. Thank you.
And I think the other thing that we've talked about is there's the mass communication when things first go out in terms of wanting to communicate broadly, right? But then as this continues to go on, one of the things that we've talked about is trying to make sure, okay, how do we do more targeted communication for those folks that are experiencing prolonged outages to make sure that we're touching base and letting them know what to expect and that kind of thing. So that is a lesson learned that we're going to work on to try to make sure for future instances that we have all those bases covered. Because at the beginning, yes, we're just trying to get the word out as much as we can. But after we can sit back and start seeing, okay, what's actually happening and what do we have left to do, then there may be a different level of communication that needs to happen with those individuals that we need to look at.
Thank you.
Did you have any other questions related to that?
I'm going to have one about electric. No, actually, it's more about the website. I looked, as y'all know, because I emailed you for the electric outage map, to see if I was on there or not. And apparently it's out there, but not as easily findable as I thought. I was able to find it today. But is that something that we can put a link to on whatever we're putting on our homepage to let people know about this, that, and the other? I just searched for ISTAT and still didn't get where I had hoped to. But a link to the electric outage map, because that's what I was looking for, and I know not everybody's gonna use that, to go, I'm still out, do they know that I'm out? And that would have told me that. But the first phone call was really, really good into the system. It was, that was well done.
And I know, I mean, the outage map was something I know that helped me stay informed without having to constantly be asking Tyler.
Yeah.
And I mean, Hayden was using that as well,
Right.
you know, to communicate with y'all. So it was just about, can there be a link, you know, on the web page so that there's fewer clicks and people aren't having to look for where that
'Cause
outage map
The
is?
search and the Sally search did not yield profitable results.
Yes, so during these events, sorry, Lauren Surley, Director of Communications and IGR. During these events, if you'll see at the very top of our homepage, we had an alert banner. And if you clicked on that alert banner, then it sent you right to the outage maps, or it provided a link to those outage maps. It's not there every day, obviously.
Right.
But during the events, we do put those alert banners right on the front of the homepage. It is on the homepage of our utilities page as well.
Now, I think, I didn't find it, because when I was looking for it before y'all would have even had that alert out there. I mean, other people needed it later. I was just trying to find it and was not able to find it. I know it's there and you have to dig pretty deep, but it was fairly easy to find today, although it was still like 4 clicks from, but
I can go back and look
Yeah,
and see if
it-
there's
it-
better ways to.
it'd be
place
good
it.
if the search could find it faster.
Yes.
Yeah.
One other question, I apologize, Mayor. After the floods several years back, we purchased some kind of system that will tell us where the outages are at, especially like in Barber Drive and Conway. How is that working out for us? Is it, we paid quite a bit of money for that? Are y'all using it now or not using it, or?
Are you speaking about the Millsoft outage management system?
Whatever we bought.
Okay.
For that tells y'all that things are
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Okay, so
It's the outage management system, so that's
Okay.
what produces that outage map that
And
we're talking
notifies
about.
them so they know which transformer or whatever to go to.
So all of the information that comes across on the public facing outage viewer map that you were speaking about, that the customers see, it all comes from our Millsoft outage management system. We see more detailed information on the back end where we're able to manage the outage from start to finish, and
So that's working.
yes.
What happened in the case of Broadway, in that area that y'all didn't pick up?
So I'm not 100% sure the specific details about this Broadway outage that you're speaking of. So I'll just say across the board for all of the outages in the whole system, the slide that showed the timing of the outage event from, I think it was 8:26 on the 9th through, I think, 10:11 on the 11th, you had a 49.5-hour outage. So when we do outage restoration, you typically have to start repairing the lines from the source down. If you go and if you try to repair, say, trees on individual service lines,
Yeah.
power won't come back on anyway.
Right.
So it's a process that you go through. And I can't speak to the individual Broadway outage because I'm not aware of any specific problems that occurred there. But anyone who was out toward that latter period of time, it was just a matter of working to those outages from the sources and those types of things. So,
And if we could get a specific address or list of addresses or range of addresses, then we can look more specifically into that to be able to give you a definitive answer on that.
On the one I was talking about, after the lady mentioned it to the lineman, they went, oh, okay. They went, did something, and within 30 minutes, hers was back up. But if she hadn't caught them, it would have been longer in order to report. Somebody have to figure out and send somebody else out. But once it was brought to their attention, she said they fixed it right away, so.
And there was also, you know, I think another lesson learned that we've talked about again is just making sure that there's how people call in and get a certain level of service of understanding and knowing that they actually get somebody. Is it that they get, leave a message. That may be the case if you're getting a whole bunch of things, but like who's calling them back and letting them know, hey, we've gotten your message and all that. So I understand it's gonna be inundated at the beginning, but again, when we start getting into things going to where they start tapering off and you have just a few and it's prolonged, then how's that communicated back to those individuals?
Yeah, and I asked the question for people who've, and I just used the term registered with the utilities department, email addresses and phone numbers. And I said, do we have those? Meaning, can we also use that avenue to alert people? But this enables us to send text and notifications and email to our customers. It doesn't say that we actually used it in this particular case.
And we don't use it all the time. So, yes, and we need to
This was another
evaluate-
way to reach people.
You're right.
That apparently we didn't take advantage of this particular time. Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just a detail, and if you look at the slide, you'll see the results and the output of the outage management system. If you look at the chart, and I know it's very small, but the peak on the far left of that blue and white chart is 12,000 outages. And you see over, the first 4, 5, 6 hours, that number drops very quickly as crews dispatch to those high priority areas where, as Brian said, you kind of work backwards. And then as you get out maybe 12 hours to 16 hours, you start getting into the 1s and 2s,
Yeah.
where those take just a little bit more time. So our staff in the office had access to this. They knew where the outages were. They were dispatching. And I think where we can do better is to really work on conveying that to the broader community. And so that when community members are talking to crew members from, whether it's Seguin or if we had staff from San Antonio and others, those crew members are going out on dispatch calls. They're not looking at this chart, or they don't have a level of understanding of what's happening back in the office. But again, lessons learned, we're going to look at how we can better disseminate this information. This is, as Councilmember Gonzalez said, a relatively new system that we've rolled out. And I think it's proven its worth by not only giving us this data, but allowing us to really dispatch in a cost-effective and prioritized manner.
But still, the response was phenomenal. I know there were people out, some people were out for an extended period of time, but the number of people who were up and functioning within 24 hours was amazing. So it appears that y'all were watching the weather and had people at the ready and ready to go that evening. Is that correct?
To a certain degree, yes, but even without watching the weather, everyone responded very quickly.
Always ready?
Especially our line crews, they were
Yeah.
on the spot right away.
They're always out there and working quickly. And in this particular case, I don't know what all they had to chainsaw through to get to where they needed to go. So there were a lot of people that got back on more quickly than I would have thought.
Good, I'm glad to hear
And I
that.
will say, I mean, I was very proud of our team for responding as quickly as we did. You always worry with things like this because you see surrounding folks and, even like our friends in Dallas who are still out of power. And so the fact that we were able to get everybody on in the period of time that we did, that doesn't mean we had a perfect response. That doesn't mean we can't learn, things from each time that we can do better, even better next time. But I don't want to have that overshadow the great job that everybody did do with it, and the fact that we were able, y'all's phones weren't ringing, hopefully more, as much as they could have had we not had the team mobilize and take care of things as quickly as they did.
Other questions?
Good job.
As far as that?
Thank you.
Yeah, overall, I thought the response was wonderful, and thank you to all of those folks who got out. At least it wasn't in freezing temperatures this time like we've done during the ice storms. So everybody, the people who got the electricity back up, the people who have been working to pick up the debris, the people who have come in and volunteered to help people get that debris chopped up into the curb, y'all have done a great job of bringing in a lot of people, a lot of resources. And so thank you to all who pulled all this together.
Thank you. I'd like to say, though, the departments all did an outstanding job, and I really want to thank utilities because they went out and in the storm, took care of everything. Then I want to again thank Neighborhood Enhancement, Amy, for picking up the mantle and just running with it. She's done a fantastic job. Couldn't do it without you. You what?
I have one more update.
Oh, she never stops.
asked to have this ready, so I want to make sure. Just because I
Step
think
on
you'll
up.
be interested.
Just so you are aware, in week one, 6,182.5 cubic yards was removed. In week two, 5,512.1 cubic yards were removed. And they're still working diligently to get all of the areas picked up as quickly as possible.
All right, thank you so much. The city of San Marcos really stepped up and did some wonderful stuff, and people should be glad they live in the city.
Well,
Okay.
And I want to thank all the volunteers, the community members. I saw a real outpouring, especially in my neighborhood, of even the college kids walking the streets, clearing the trees, so, clearing debris off. So big shout out to the Texas Baptist Men, Mission Able, all the volunteers, because we could not do this without you. So a big shout out to all the volunteers and the community members for stepping up.
Yep.
I have just one comment. Just like shout out to Amy's crew, and Hayden. I would ask him very niche questions where it was very specific to my neighbors. And he did a great job replying ASAP. And then also to Mr. Gleason, because I was in the air when all this was happening, or I was about to be. And so he was updating me about Blanco Gardens. I used to live there for a long time. And just like knowing that in each neighborhood, it seemed like folks had like a contact to reach out to that they trusted, whether that was staff or council, that made me feel really good. I think it really helps develop trust amongst our neighbors, just given that, man, we can't catch a break. Like floods, ice storms, like, come on. But I think it really does show that we are reflecting and learning, strengthening the response and learning, addressing areas of growth. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, 'cause this is probably going to happen again. And thank you to Mr. Meagle for the updates to us. I felt those were
Yes.
complete and that I knew what was going on, so thank you. That
He
was
did
good.
fantastic, and I think, the other thing is to not underestimate the roles that you all play in partnering with us on things, because there are people who are just gonna be more comfortable calling y'all than calling us. And so I'm glad that y'all do have those relationships and y'all go out and try to help, and we try to give you all the information so that when people do contact you, then you at least say, oh, this is what's going on, or I know a little bit about some of this. So just, that's something that we strive for too, is to try to get that out to y'all as much as possible. And yes, I do want to recognize Mr. Meagle for doing an excellent job with keeping y'all informed in that process.
It's a team approach, and we love that.
The last comment I'll have is on these alert towers. If it looks like it's gonna be 4 to 6 months more, I want an update on it. And if a contractor's gonna say it's gonna be another year, let's find another contractor. I don't wanna wait any longer on this. I was extremely disappointed they didn't go off, and I think it put people at serious risk. And I don't want that to happen again.
I think we're good. Anything you need from us? Then we will move on to executive session. Ms. Trevino.
The City Council will convene an executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Government Code. 1, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice regarding the following matters. A, Canyon Regional Water Authority and Hayes Caldwell Mediation. B, Derek Arredondo versus City of San Marcos Civil Action Number 122-CV-684-DAE in the United States District Court for the Western District of Texas, Austin Division. C, Austin R. Colson versus City of San Marcos, Texas, et al. Case number 24-50283 in the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. D, John Gregson versus City of San Marcos, Hayes County, et al. Civil Action Number 124-CV-00400 in the United States District Court for the Western District of Texas, Austin Division. E, Reese versus Skinny Labs, Inc., DBA, Spin Scooters, and the City of San Marcos, et al., cause number 24-0776, District Court of Hayes County, Texas. 2, Sections 551.087, Economic Development, to deliberate regarding possible economic development incentives for Project Windshine.
Okay, looking for a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gleason, seconded by Mr. Mendoza. Ms. Trevino.
Mr. Scott, Ms. Garza, Mayor Houston.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mr. Gleason.
Aye.
Mr. Mendoza.
Aye.
And Mr. Prather.
Okay, so we will go into executive session at 3:54. Concluded our executive session at 4:52. So we are now back for our next item, which is question and answer session with the press and public. No one has signed up. There's no one here. Therefore, we will move on to adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gleason, seconded by Mr. Mendoza.
Okay. Ms. Garza.
Aye.
Mayor Houston.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mr. Gleason.
Aye.
Mr. Mendoza.
Aye.
Mr. Prather and Mr. Scott. Okay, motion passes 5-0.
And we are out at 4:54. You may go back to that same room, go to the kitchen, get your dinner.